Evening, folks. My name is Huckleberry Finn. Well, you don't know about me without you have read a book by the name of The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Now, that book was written by Mr. Mark Twain, and he told the truth. Mostly. Well, shucks, that ain't nothing. I ain't met nobody in their life that ain't told but one lie, whether that was Aunt Polly or the Widder Douglas. Well, Aunt Polly and the Widder Douglas are all told about in that book, which, like I said, is a mostly true book. Now, here's how that book winds up. Tom and me, we found the money that the robbers hid in the cave, and it made us rich. Whoo! $6,000 apiece, all in gold. Oh, it was an awful sight of money when it was all piled up. Well, Judge Thatcher took the gold and put it out at interest, and the Widder Douglas took me in to live with her and allowed she would civilize me. And
Huckleberry, don't you have something that needs attending to?
Oh, sorry, Mr. Twain.
As my young friend said, the adventures recorded in this play are mostly true. Huckleberry Finn is drawn from life, as is Tom Sawyer and Jim. You may note in this play a number of similar yet distinct and musical dialects. The shadings of these dialects have not been done in a haphazard fashion, nor by guesswork, but painstakingly, with the utmost reliance on personal familiarity. I make this explanation because without it, many of you might assume that all of these people are trying to speak alike and not succeeding. You might also assume that these common dialects indicate a certain lack of intelligence or education. Nothing could be further from the truth. How many of you could read Homer's Iliad from the original Greek, or translate Cicero from the original Latin? Yet this was common curriculum for primary schools of the day. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn begins where the Adventures of Tom Sawyer ends, with the two lads finding the robber's treasure. His newfound wealth and the fact that he was now under the protection of the Widder Douglas introduced him into society, or rather, dragged him into it, kicking and screaming. Huckleberry endured his miseries for 3 weeks, and then, one day, when his sufferings were more than he could bear, he turned up missing.
Don't talk about it, Tom. Tried it. It ain't for me. The Widder, she's nice to me and all, but I can't stand her ways. She makes me get up at the same time every morning. She makes me wash. She combs me all the thunder. She won't let me sleep in the woodshed. And I gotta go to church. I can't catch a fly in there, and I can't chaw. And I gotta wear shoes all day on Sunday. I gotta wear all these cuss-smothery clothes. Oh, and they're just so darn nice that I can't sit down, nor lay down, nor roll around anywheres. The Widder, she eats by a bell. She gets up by a bell. She goes to bed by a bell. It's just so darn regular, a body can't stand it.
Everybody does that way, Huck.
Well, I ain't everybody, Tom. I got asked to go swimming. I got asked to go fishing. Well, I'll be darned if I ain't got asked to do everything. And I gotta talk so nice all the time. I had to go up into the attic and cuss for a little while just to get the taste back in my mouth. The Widder won't let me yell. She won't let me smoke. She won't let me gape, nor stretch, nor scratch. And dead fetch it, she prays all the time. Looky here, Tom. Being rich ain't all it's cracked up to be. It's just worry and sweat and worry and wishing you was dead all the time. Now, I wouldn't be in all this mess if it hadn't been for all that money. So you take my half along with yours,
Well,
and
no,
you
no.
go beg off for me with
No,
the
Huck,
witter.
no, you know I can't do that. It ain't fair. Besides, if you just come to try this just a little while longer, you'll come to like it. You'll see.
Yeah, like I'd come to like sitting on a hot stove if I sat on it long enough. No, Tom, I will not be rich, and I won't live in one of them cuss-smothery houses. Blame it all, just as we got in a cave and we're fixed to be robbers. All this foolishness has to come up and spile it all.
Now, Huck, being rich ain't gonna keep me from turning robber.
Oh, good licks. Are you in real deadwood earnest, Tom?
Oh, just as earnest as I'm standing here. But now look, Huck, we can't let you into the gang if you're not respectable.
Can't let me in. You let me pass for a pirate, didn't you?
Yes, but that's different. You see, as a general rule, a robber is more high tone than what a pirate is. See, in most countries, they awful high up in nobility. Think dukes and such. Now, Huck, I wouldn't want to shut you out. But what would people say? Why, they just say, Tom Sawyer's gang. Pretty low characters in it. And they mean you, Huck. And you wouldn't like that, and I wouldn't.
Well, I reckon I can go back to the witter for a month, see if I can come to stand it, if you'll let me belong to the gang.
All right, Huck, it's a deal. You come on back with me, and I'll ask the widow to let up on you a little bit.
Oh, would you? Oh, if she'll just let up on the tougher things, I'll smoke private and cuss private. When are you going to start the gang?
Oh, right off. We'll have the initiative tonight and swear to always stand by one another and never tell the gang's secrets, even if you chopped all the fingers.
Oh, Lordy, Tom, look.
Oh, they're just footprints. What's got you in such a lather?
Look at the left boot heel. There's a cross in it, the kind that's made by 2 nails hammered into the heel. That's a hex sign to keep off the devil. Those tracks were made by Pap's boots. He's back for sure.
Oh, what of it? You live with the widow Douglas now. Besides, you're rich. You don't have to worry about him no more.
My being rich is why he's back, Tom. I ain't of age. Anything that belongs to me belongs to him. Oh, he must have heard about the money and come back to get it. He's going to spend it all on drink.
Oh,
and he's a mean drunk, Tom. What am I going to do?
Oh, hold on. I've got it. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go find Judge Thatcher, and we'll tell him that you and me, we made a deal, that you want to sell your half of the treasure to me for $1, on the condition that you can buy it back for $1 anytime you like. And you tell him your pap's back in town. Judge Thatcher's a smart man, Huck. He'll know not to ask no more questions, so you don't have to lie about it when your pap comes around. Then you best hightail it away from here until he wanders off again. Like as not, he won't hang around here too long once he sees there's no money to be had. Come on now.
After their visit with the judge, Huck snuck back to the cabin he and his father had shared back in his pauper days, taking great care to be sure the old man was nowhere nearby. He filled a gunny sack with provisions, a side of bacon, coffee, sugar, a dipper, tin cup, blankets, a skillet, a coffee pot.
Oh, and fishing string and matches. Well, I wanted to take an axe, but I know I had good reason for leaving that one behind.
Thank you, Huckleberry, but this is my part of the story to tell.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Twain. I just wanted to make sure that you told him how I used the axe to bust in the door, and then I killed the chicken and let it bleed all over the inside of the cabin. Oh, and how I filled a sack with rocks and dragged it down to the river and dumped it out. Anybody looked at it, see something was dragged over the ground.
Well, I was going to tell them.
Oh, I sure do wish Tom Sawyer had been there. Whew. I know he would have taken an interest in something like that and put in some fancy touches. Nobody can spread themselves in such thing as that as Tom Sawyer.
Huckleberry, if you don't mind.
Well, I just want to make sure that you had told them how I bloodied up the axe real good and slung it into the corner.
Huckleberry. As I was saying, he filled his canoe with provisions and created an elaborate ruse to make everyone believe he had been murdered. Believing the town folk would search the river for his body, but would not think to search for a living Huck Finn, he launched his canoe into the river, paddled downstream 2.5 miles to Jackson Island, where he and his friends had played pirate in days gone by. He ran the canoe into an inlet, tied it fast, and hid it from sight. He made camp and prepared for a nice long stay. But before the week was out, while searching the interior of the island, he ran across another camp, and there was a man there, all stretched out, asleep.
I'll take 2 biscuits and a bit of earth too. No, I'll take care of the pigs.
Jim? Oh, am I ever so glad to see you.
Don't hurt me. Please don't. I never done no harm to no ghost. I always liked dead folks, and I done all I could for them. Now, you just get back in the room where you belongs and leave old Jim alone. Wasn't I always your friend when you was alive?
Jim, what are you talking about? It's me. It's Huckleberry.
Maybe you is, and maybe you ain't. Talk around town is Huckleberry Finn is dead, killed by his own pap, probably plumb drunk out of his mind. How do I know you ain't a Hank come to torment old Jim for disturbing your final resting place?
Jim, it's broad daylight. I don't expect Hank slosh about much in daylight. It's gotta be me.
Okay, just... Well, I reckon that's so. But look at here, Huck. If that wasn't you what was killed in your cabin, then who was it that got killed? Oh, you didn't kill nobody, did you?
I didn't kill nobody. Nobody got killed. I just fixed it that way so that my pap would leave me alone and folks would leave me be.
Oh, that's a good plan, Huck. A real smart plan. I reckon Tom Sawyer himself gonna get out no better plan than that.
Well, Jim, how'd you come to get here? Did Miss Watson send you out fishing or trapping or something?
Well, there's a reason, but I better not tell. If I were to tell, you wouldn't run and tell on me now, would you, Huck?
Darned if I would.
Well, I ran off.
You what?
It was this way, you see. Now, old Miss Watson, she always said that she will never sell me down in Orleans, that she's going to put in her will that she will set me free when she dies. But I noticed a trader around the place considerable lately, and I started getting uneasy. One night, I heard the old missus tell the Whitler Douglas that man offered her $800 for me. Yeah. And she said that's a powerful sack of money. Well, sir, I never waited to hear no more. I let out mighty quick, I'll tell you what. I made it down to the river, climbed onto a patch of driftwood, and floated down to the island. And I've been hiding here since. And that's the way it was. Now, mind you said you wouldn't tell, Huck.
Yeah, I said I wouldn't tell, and I'll stick to it. Folks will call me a low-down, dirty abolitionist and despise me for keeping mum, but I ain't gonna tell. Well, shucks, I ain't going back there, so there ain't nobody I could tell anyway.
Aw, you a good friend to me, Huck. I don't think I'd ever had a better friend.
Huck and Jim spent the next few days pretty much doing nothing, which is a wonderful thing to do, especially when you have something that needs doing, but which can grow quite tiresome when there's nothing else to do except nothing. Huck decided that taking a break from doing nothing would be a worthwhile endeavor and convinced Jim that it was at last safe to go exploring. While searching on the other side of the island, they discovered two things of considerable interest. First thing was a large raft, complete with a small tent, floating peacefully in the bay. It was not uncommon for small boats, news, even small rafts to break loose and float free down the Mississippi. But a raft of this size seemed providential to the lad. The second and more interesting thing they discovered was a 2-story frame house, which had obviously not been built upon the rock, as the old hymn admonished, but during a recent storm had been washed away and deposited on the island bank. The whole structure was tilting considerably, and the first floor was virtually flooded, but Jim was able to climb in through a 2nd-story window while Huck kept watch outside.
What do you see, Jim?
Must be a bedroom. I sees a bed, a table, 2 old chairs, lots of rubbish on the floor, and then a mess of clothes are hanging against the wall. There's something in the far corner that looked like...
Jim? Jim? What's in the far corner, Jim?
I sees a man. Only he dead. Done shot in the back 2-3 times. I reckon he been dead a spell. Took him in it, Huck. You don't want to see this. It's powerful ghastly. But hey, there's a trunk here full of some stuff. We could take it with us. But we got to go. I's afeared this house might wash away in a minute now.
Yep. I wonder how that man came to get killed.
Don't let talk about dead folks, Huck. Fetch bad luck. Besides, he might come back and hang us. A man that ain't been buried proper is more likely to go a hanging than one that's been planning comfortable.
Yeah, that's so.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, still, I can't help but wonder who shot him and why they did it.
Bad luck to wonder about such things. Tell you what I wonder? I wonder what's stirring up river. I wonder if they found whoever killed you. I wonder if they still looking for me.
Well, I reckon I could take the raft upriver and find out. Yeah, I'll get started right away.
I like that notion there, Huck, but you can't go out in the daylight. Folks will recognize you for sure. Even or not, it's taking a risk. I think you need to go in disguise.
Disguise?
Yeah.
I ain't got any clothes but these.
We got the clothes in the trunk. I'm sure there's something that'll fit you.
Jim, clothes in the trunk are all girls' clothes.
Oh, don't be like that.
What?
Ooh. Okay. Let's see what we got.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes,
No.
yes, yes, yes.
No.
Come on now. Come on now. Roll up your trouser pants.
Why?
Just do it. All right.
Stay up, Jim.
Arms up. There we go.
This is... Stop that. Why is it so far up?
Don't worry about that. Keep it all nice. Hey, quit hiking up your skirt to reach your britches pockets. It ain't ladylike. Hold still. Now, lift your chin.
What? Oh. Jim, I don't think this is right.
Now, walk for me. Lord have mercy, you don't walk like no girl.
It's because I ain't no girl, Jim. How am I supposed to know how to walk like a girl?
Well, you don't just stride on out like you got some important place to go. Now, the ladies, they take small steps. Like this. Like who they are is more important than where they're going. How they kind of sashay when they walk, and how their hips kind of rolling back and forth, and how they say stuff like oh yes, I have somewhere important to go, but it'll just have to wait till I get there. Now you try. Come on. Lord have mercy.
In their hips. How's that?
Well, I reckon it's a good plan for you to go in at 9.
I reckon it's a good plan for you to go with 9.
Yeah.
Well, come on in. Take a chair. And what might your name be?
Sarah Williams, ma'am.
Whereabouts you live? This neighborhood?
No, I'm from Hookerville, about 7 miles north of here. Well, my mom's down sick and out of money, so she sent me to fetch my Uncle Abner Moore. He lives up at the upper end of town. Do you know him?
Can't say I do, but I hadn't lived here but 2 weeks. It's a considerable ways to the upper end of town. You best stay here the night. Take off your bonnet.
Oh, no, I just reckon I'll stay here and then, well, head on. I ain't afeard of the dark.
Suit yourself, but I can't have you go on by yourself. My husband will be back directly, and I'll send him along with you. Here, make yourself useful and wind up this yarn for me. We got relations upriver that was always telling us how much better off things were in town than out on the homestead, so we up and moved to town, but can't say it was the right move, though, what with all the murders and all.
Murdered? Who got murdered?
Land of Goshen, child, you from Hookerville and ain't heard of the murders? Why, it was that poor waif Huckleberry Finn. I don't know why I called him a poor waif, though. I heard tell him and another feller found a treasure worth pert near $10,000. Could live like kings if they wanted to. Fat lot of good it did poor Huckleberry. Money don't do you no good when you're dead.
No, it don't. Do they know who done it?
Well, we've heard considerable goings on about it. I reckon there's a right smart number of folks who'd like to know who did it. Some folks think old Finn done it himself. Now, he'll never know how nigh he come to getting hung. But you know, before the night was over, they changed around, judged it was done by a runaway named Jim.
But Jim wouldn't.
What now?
Who's Jim?
Ain't you been listening? Jim's the runaway. Run off the night of the murder. So now there's a reward out for him. $300. Here's the way of it. Old Finn come to town the night after the murder and told about it and was out on the ferry boat hunt with them. And then he up and left town. Well, the next morning, everybody judged that Jim had run away. He hadn't been seen since 10 o'clock the night the murder was done. Well, what do you know? Old Finn comes back to town, a boo-hooing to Judge Thatcher to get some money to go hunt for the runaway over in Illinois. Well, the judge gave him some, but that night, old Finn was seen drunk and hanging around with a bunch of mighty hard-looking strangers. He run off with them and ain't been seen since. Folks say he's a sly one. Some say he killed his boy and fixed it so folks would think that robbers done it. Then he wouldn't have to mess a long time with a lawsuit. Now, I ain't saying he did it, but I ain't saying he didn't either. I'm just saying it's mighty peculiar for Jim and old Finn to both turn up missing so soon after that poor boy got killed.
Jim wouldn't.
What now?
What?
Well, now I thought you said something about Jim wouldn't.
No, I said, why are they still looking for Jim if they think the old man did it?
Well, you're innocent, ain't you? Does $300 lay around for a body to pick up every day? Well, I done some thinking on it. Because some folks has seen wood smoke rising up over on Jackson's Island. Don't nobody live on Jackson's Island, so there ain't no cause to be wood smoke over there. I done some thinking on it. I says to my husband, like as not that runaway's hiding out over there till this whole thing blows over. Anyways, I says to my husband it'd be worth the trouble to give the place a hunt. So my husband and another fella are heading into town. They'll go out there after midnight.
$300? It's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
You said they're going tonight?
Yes. They went uptown to borrow a boat and see if they could find another gun. They'll go up after dark.
Well, couldn't they see better in the daylight?
Yes, but so could that runaway. They can hunt up his campfire all the better after dark.
That's so. I didn't think about that.
What'd you say your name was, honey?
Mary Williams, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. When you first come in, I thought you said it was Sarah.
Hey, yes, Sarah Mary Williams. Sarah's my first name, Mary's my second name. Some folks call me Sarah, some Mary.
That's the way of it, is it?
Yes,
Well, Sarah Mary, these are hard times we're living in. It's a sorry state when you have to share your living space with the rats. Look there. See him poking his nose out of that hole in the corner. You got to have something handy to throw at them or they won't give you no peace at all. Now, I'm a tolerable shot, but I wrenched my arm a day or two back. Can't throw straight to save my life. Here, you keep an eye on him. When you see him, you just let fly.
got him.
Yes, you did, Sarah Mary. Or should I call you Bill, or Tom, or Bob?
Oh, please don't make fun of a poor girl like me. If I'm in the way here,
Oh, no, you don't. You just sit down and stay right there. Now, I ain't gonna hurt you. I ain't gonna tell on you nother. You just tell me your real name, and trust me, I'll keep it a secret. What's more, I'll help you if I can. Well, I suspect you're a runaway apprentice, that's all. Well, that ain't nothing. There ain't no harm in it. You've been treated poorly. You made up your mind to cut. Well, that ain't nothing. You just tell me all about it like a good boy.
Yes, ma'am. You're right, ma'am. There ain't no use hiding it. My ma and pa passed away a few years back, and the law bound me out to a mean old farmer about 30 miles north of here. Treated me so bad, I couldn't take it anymore. Well, he had to go to Springfield for a few days, so I took my chance and grabbed some of his daughter's old clothes and got out of there. I've been coming walking 30 miles, hiding out days and walking nights. The bag of meat and bread that I brung with me has lasted me this long, but, well, I figure my Uncle Abner Moore will take care of me. And that's why I've set out for this great town of Mount Carmel.
Mount Carmel?
Mm-hmm.
Child, this ain't Mount Carmel. This is St. Petersburg. Mount Carmel's 10 miles further up the river. What made you think this was Mount Carmel?
Why, a man I met at daybreak said that when the road forked, I should take a right and 5 miles would fetch me Mount Carmel.
Well, he was either drunk or a fool, I reckon. Either way, he told you exactly wrong.
Yeah, well, it ain't no matter. I gotta get going. I figured I'll reach Mount Carmel by daylight.
Well, hold on. Let me fix you something to eat. I suspect you might want it. Say, when a cow's laying down, which end of her gets up first? Don't stop and study on it. Answer quick now. Which end gets up first?
The hind end, ma'am.
Well, then a horse.
Forward end, ma'am.
What side does the moss grow on a tree?
North side.
All right, then. If 15 cows is grazing on a hillside, how many of them eats with their heads facing in the same direction?
All 15, ma'am.
Well, I reckon you have lived in the country. Thought maybe you was trying to hocus me again. Now, child, what's your real name?
George Peters, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Well, don't forget, George. And get out by saying it's Alexander when I catch you, and then George Alexander before that. Well, you hurry on to your Uncle Abner. And don't forget, if you get into any trouble, you just call for Judith Loftus, which is me. I'll see what I can do.
Soon as Huck was out of Judith's sight, he hightailed it for the river. Nigh on 9 o'clock, and he knew that Mr. Loftus and another fella would be headed out to Jackson Island around midnight. He roused Jim, told him what was up. They collected all their worldly goods, and put them on the raft, launched out into the middle of the Mississippi, and let the river's current carry them along at its own leisurely pace. Huck had learned to read during his time living with the widow Douglas and discovered he enjoyed the pastime. And as there were several books in the old trunk they had found, little else to do, Huck cracked one open entitled The Genealogical and Hereditary Dictionary of the Peerage and Baronetage of the United Kingdom by Mr. John Burke, and began to read it to Jim.
Well, Lord of mercy. I never knew the like. Kings and dukes and earls and such. And how they dress so gaudy. And how they get you to call them your majesty and your grace and your lordship instead of old plain old mister. Well, that's interesting. I never knew there were so many of them. Only one I ever tell of was King Solomon. Let's count the one on the deck of cards. So, look, how much does a king get?
Get? Why, Jim, they get $1,000 a week if they want it. Everything belongs to them.
Is that so?
Oh, yeah.
So, what does a king have to do to get all that?
He don't do nothing. He just sits around all day. Oh, except for when there's a war. Then he'll go to the war. But most of the time, they just laze around or they go hawking. Oh, and when things get boring, they mess with Parliament. And if people don't do what they want them to, then they'll chop off their heads. But most of the time, they just hang around the harem.
Uh-huh. What's a harem?
You know, a harem. Place where the king keeps his wives. Solomon had one. He had about 1 million wives.
Oh, yes. Why, that's so. I heard about that. But I forgot. So, a harem is like a boarding house, because I reckon it gets all rackety with all them wives together in one place. And I suspect they quarrel so considerable, that just increases the racket. Now, look at here, Huck. Preacher, he said that King Solomon was the wisest man that ever lived. But I don't take no stock into that. Because why would a wise man want to live in the midst of hundreds of quarreling women folk? Now, a wise man will make do with one wife and be done with it.
Well, Jim, you got a point.
Mm-hmm.
But he was the wisest man because, well, the widow told me herself.
I don't care what the widow said.
Oh.
Was no wise man neither. He had the dad fetches the way I ever see. Hey, you the preacher talk about that child he was going to chop in two?
Oh, yeah, I heard all about it.
Well, you just take and look a minute here. Oh. Now, you got one woman on this side and another woman on that side. Mm-hmm. And I's a Solomon. Now, both women claim the child is hers. So what does I do? Do I shinny amongst the neighbors, trying to figure out which woman the child belongs to, and give it to her? Safe and sound, like anybody with a lick of sense would do? No, sir. Why, I take that child and chop it in two with a sword. Give one half to one woman and the other half to the other. Now, does that sound wise to you? Now, I ask you, what's the use of half a child?
Jim, you've missed the point.
What?
Well, you've missed it by 1,000 miles. We'll just let Solomon slide. There's plenty of other kings. Let's see. King Louis XVI. He had his head chopped off in France a long time ago. And he had a son called the Dolphin, who was supposed to be king, but, well, they locked him up in prison. Some say he died there.
Oh, little chap.
But some say he escaped and came to America.
Well, that's good. But, Huck, there ain't no kings living in America. What's it gonna do to make a living?
Oh, well, most of them teach people how to talk French. Frenchmen don't talk like we do. You couldn't understand a word they said, Jim, not a word. Now, suppose some Frenchman comes up to you and he says, "Parlez-vous français?" What would you think?
I wouldn't think nothing. I'd take him bust inside the head. I wouldn't allow no French fella to call me that, nah, sir.
Well, he didn't call you anything, Jim. He was just asking if you knew how to talk French.
Why didn't he just say that?
He did. That's his way of asking it.
Well, that's just ridiculous.
Now, a cat don't talk like we do, right?
Right.
And a cow don't talk like a cat does.
Mm-hmm.
It's natural and right for all of us to talk different.
Right.
So why ain't it natural and right for a Frenchman to talk different from us?
Well, a cat ain't no man, and a cow ain't no man neither.
Exactly.
So neither a cat nor a cow had no business talking like a man. But a Frenchman is still a man, right?
Yeah.
So then why don't he talk like a man?
I can see it ain't no use wasting my words. You made up your mind. I quit.
Oh, don't be like that, Huck. I don't mean to be contentious. I suppose we just getting close to Cairo on the Illinois side of the river. Once we get to Cairo, I'm gonna be a free man. Oh, I get all trembling just thinking about being so close to freedom.
Well, say, Jim, it's the first thing you're going to do once you get to a free state.
Well, I reckon I'll hire myself out, go on and save up some money. When I get enough, I'm gonna buy my wife's freedom.
I didn't know you had a wife.
Oh, yes, sir. I got me a fine wife on the farm close to where Miss Watson lives, and 2 little children, too.
Oh,
And when I buy my wife's freedom, then we'll both work and save us so we can buy them both. Then we could be a family again. Oh, just thinking about my youngins sometimes make me feel bad sometimes. 'Cause I want to be a good pap. Of course, there was this one time I treated my little Elizabeth so ornery. She was only about 4 years old when she took the scarlet fever. She had a rough, powerful spell, but she got well again. Then one day, she just stand in the middle of the room, and I said to her, "Shut the door." She never done it. She just stood there smiling up at me, and that made me mad. I say to her again, mighty loud, I said, "Shut the door." She just stood there like I never said a word. I was boiling mad. I fetched her up and slapped her across the head and stomped out of that room. It made me so mad, I didn't stay gone about 10 minutes just to cool down. I come back, and what you think? That door is standing open, and she's standing in the middle of the room with tears running down her face. I walk into the room, then along came a big wind, closed the door shut behind me. Kablam! She never budged. Oh my, I walked right behind her. I said, "Pow!" loud as I could. She never moved. I busted crying and scooped her up in my arms. I started praying. I said, "Lord God Almighty, please forgive old Jim. He ain't never going to forgive himself as long as he live." She was deep, Huck. She was plumb deep from the scarlet fever, and I treated her so. That's why I got to get my wife and my babies back. I got to make it up to them. I got to be the kind of pap that the good Lord called me to be. I'm sorry. I didn't know.
getting kind of light out. Might want to get you underneath the blankets so folks don't see you. We don't want you getting caught this close to being free.
Yeah, you're right. Very soon, I'll be shouting in joy and I'll say, it's all on account of Huck. I've never been free if it weren't for Huck. I ain't gonna forget you. You're a good friend to me, Huck.
Ahoy the raft!
Ahoy yourself!
Anybody else on the raft with you?
Just one feller?
We're looking for a runaway. They got a reward out for him, $300. Say, is that feller black or white?
He's, white.
I reckon we'll just paddle out and see for ourselves.
Oh, would you? Oh, I'd be much obliged. See, that's my pap there underneath the blankets, and he's mighty sick, and we got to tow the raft ashore, but I can't do it by myself, and everyone else has just left us.
Well, that's infernal mean. It's odd, too. Say, boy, what's wrong with your pap?
Oh, it's the... It's nothing much.
Boy, that's a lie. Tell us what's the matter with your pap now. I mean, you be square with us. It'll be better for you.
Oh, please don't leave us here. I'll throw you a headline. You won't even have to come anywhere near the raft.
Oh, no, just keep away, boy. I conjure your pap's got smallpox. And you know it precious well. Why don't you just come out and tell us? You want to spread it everywhere?
No. Everyone else I've told has just up and left us.
We're downright sorry for you, but, well, hey, we ain't want the smallpox, you see? Looky here, I'll tell you what you do. You float on down, about 20 miles, you'll come across a town on the left-hand side of the river. It'll be dark then, and you tie up to the dock, and when you ask for help, you tell them the folks come down with the chills and the fever. Don't be a fool again and let them guess what's the matter. Now, we're doing you a kindness here. Just put 20 miles between us. That's a good boy.
Huck, they out of sight yet?
They're gone. You're safe.
I was listening to all the talking. I was a pretty smart dodge, I tell you what. But Huck, you just told a powerful lie just then. Preacher always said you go to hell for lying. Ain't nobody, black or white, had ever done anything like that for me before. I suppose it's the same old Jim's life. I ain't gonna forget it.
I know I done wrong telling lies big as that. And I feel bad. Bad and low. But suppose I had done right and told the truth. You'd been sent back to Miss Watson. Or worse. Oh, and I'd feel even worse. I don't know, Jim. Sometimes right and wrong just seems so upside down. How's a man supposed to know what to do? But I reckon if helping you get your freedom means that I got to go to hell, I guess I'll just go to hell.
Huck and Jim drifted along for what they judged to be another 20 miles. But to their dismay, when Huck shouted the question at a local boy on the shore, they discovered they had traveled far below Cairo, Illinois, and were in fact about to make landfall in the great state of Kentucky. There was no way they could turn the raft around and head upstream against the current. After considerable discussion, it was decided that Jim would hide the raft and lay low for a couple of days while Huckleberry scouted out the surrounding area. Once he had the lay of the land, the two of them would hoof it north, overland, to reach Illinois. And that is how Huckleberry wandered smack dab into the middle of the great Grangerford-Shepherdson feud.
Hush, you dogs! Down, I say! Who's out there?
It's me, sir.
Who's me?
George Jackson, sir.
What do you want?
I don't want nothing. I just wanted to go on by, but the dogs won't let me.
What you prowling around this time of night for?
I weren't prowling. I fell overboard off the steamboat.
Oh, you did you? Rachel, bring me a lantern. What'd you say your name was?
George Jackson, sir. I'm only a boy.
Well, George Jackson, if you're telling the truth, you needn't be afraid. Nobody hurt you. But don't you try to budge. You stand right where you are.
Rouse out Betsy and Buck, some of you, and fetch the guns.
George Jackson, is there anybody with you?
No, sir, it's just me.
Betsy, put the lantern on the floor behind the front door. Buck, if you and Jasper are ready, take your places.
All right, George. Do you know the Shepherdsons?
No, sir, I never heard of 'em.
Well, maybe that's so, and maybe that ain't. Now step forward, George Jackson, and you come might slow. Keep your hands where I can see them, and you step inside. That's far enough. Now stand there and let me get a look at you.
Why, he ain't no Shepherdson.
Nope. There ain't any Shepherdson about him.
Well, all right then. Make yourself easy and at home. Why don't you come sit down and tell us about yourself?
Why, bless you, Saul. The poor thing is cold and weary. Don't you reckon he's hungry? Sophia, you fly around and get him something to eat as quick as you can. Poor thing. Buck, when he's done eating, you take our guest to your room. He can sleep there tonight.
Ain't they no Shepherdsons around? Crying shame. If there'd been some, reckon I'd have got me one.
Never mind, Jamie. Don't you fret about that. You'll have plenty of time to get you a Shepherdson when you're older.
Come on, go along back to bed.
Go on. Buck, Jasper, you do as your mother told you. As soon as George here is finished eating.
Say, George, how long are you going to stay here? You got to stay for a while. You can just have booming times if you don't have no school now. You own a dog? I've got a dog. He'll go on the river and fetch up chips that you throw it. You like to come up on Sundays and all that kind of foolishness? You bet I don't, but Ma, she makes me. I've got to wear them confound smothery breeches, and you can't stretch, nor scratch, nor even roll around in them. I'd rather not even think about it. Got any sisters? I've got 3 sisters, not counting my sister Emmeline. Took sick and died, and the 3 brothers, 2 of them got killed in the feud with the Shepherdsons.
What's a feud?
Where was you raised? Don't you know what a feud is?
I never heard of it. Tell me about it.
A feud is this way. A feller has a quarrel with another feller, and then kills him. Then the other feller's brother kills him. Then the brothers on both sides goes for one another, and then the cousins chip in, and by and by, everybody's killed off, and there ain't no more feud.
It's kind of slow and takes a long time.
Well, how long's this one been going on?
It's way before I was born. Started 30 years ago, or somewhere's along there. There's some kind of trouble about something.
Well, who started it? Was it a Shepherdson or a Grangerford?
I don't know.
Don't anybody know?
I sure don't know.
So say you was walking down the road and you saw a shepherdson. You'd want to kill him?
You bet I would.
Why? What did he ever do to you?
Him, he never done nothing to me.
Then what do you want to kill him for?
Why on account of the feud? It's the way things are done. Ain't you been listening?
I can't see no profit in feuding.
Well, you just tag along for a while. You'll come to like it. You outdone him. I'm tuckered out.
Huckleberry spent the next few days enjoying the hospitality of the Grangerford family. He discovered he actually missed sleeping in a real bed, and eating regular meals, even wearing clean clothes. Sunday come along, and to Buck's displeasure, his mama did make him comb up and put on his go-to-meeting clothes. Inside the church, Grangerford family sat on one side of the aisle. Shepherdson family sat on the other side of the aisle. Neither one acknowledged the existence of the other, but they did acknowledge the unwritten rule of not shedding blood on holy ground. On the buggy ride home, everyone remarked what a wonderful sermon the preacher had brought about brotherly love and faith, good works, and free grace, and free foredestination, and such. Huck could not puzzle out how folk could be amen in brotherly love one day and shooting at each other the next, but he kept that opinion to himself.
George? George!
Oh, Lordy, Miss Sophia, you about scared the life out of me.
I'm sorry, George. I didn't mean to startle you. I only wanted to ask you something.
Ask me what?
George, do you like me?
Of course I like you. Well, you about the sweetest girl I ever met. I suppose everybody likes you.
George, if I was to ask you to do something for me and not tell anyone, would you do it?
I reckon I would.
You see, George, I forgot my testament and I left it in the seat at church between two other books. Would you slip out real quiet and go and fetch it for me and not say nothing to nobody? I would be so embarrassed if they knew I had forgotten my testament. And I just feel like I can trust you. I can trust you, can't I, George?
Oh, shucks, Miss Sophia. Of course you can. Well, I don't reckon there's anybody at church now anyway, except for maybe a hog or two. Hogs like a punching floor in the summertime on account of how cool it is. Most folks, well, they don't go to church when they got to. A hog is different, though. They'll go anytime.
You found it, George. I'm so happy. You're the best boy in the whole world.
Well, I declare, Miss Sophia, I ain't never seen no girl get so excited over a testament before.
2:30.
Hey, what's that mean, 2:30?
It don't mean anything. It's only a bookmark to help me keep my place. You can go back to your napping now. But remember, you are not to tell anybody.
Huck wandered down toward the river, pondered the curiosity of a pretty girl, a testament, and a cryptic note that read 2:30. He had an uneasy feeling about all of this. It seemed like nature, all of nature, had taken on an unnatural stillness. Nothing and nobody was stirring. He decided that now was the time for he and Jim to collect their things and light out for Illinois.
George! Hey, they got Sophia!
Who got Sophia?
Harney Shepherdson. Sophia left a note and said that they run off to get married. Family found out about a half hour ago. The boys have gone off the road to try to catch them before they get hitched. Women folk have gone to stir up the relations. And Pa allows he's gonna fetch home a Shepherdson or bust. Everybody's got their guns. Come to warn you to lay low. This ain't your fight, and Pa don't want you getting all mixed up in it.
Buck. 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 Oh. This way! Take to the water!
Go, boy! You can't do nothing for him. Come
Throw
on,
the
Buck.
dogs off the scent! There ain't no time, Jim. Push off for the open water.
Oh, I appreciate the hospitality. I'm not sure what all that shooting was about back there, but sure had I stayed to find out, I might have collected some stray lead. Like that poor young fella back there. Friend of yours?
I met him but a day or two ago. He was nice. Sure didn't wish him dead.
What?
You two know each other?
Not at all. I'd been selling an article to take the tartar off the teeth. And it does take it off, too, and generally the enamel along with it. But I had stayed about one night longer than I ought to and was just in the act of heading out when I ran across you on the trail. What about you, friend?
Me? Oh, well, I've been running a little temperance revival meeting in town for about a week. Oh, I was the pet of all the women folk, big and small. Well, I was making it mighty warm on all the rummies in town, I'll tell you what. I was taking in as much as $6 a night, 10 cents a head. Somehow or t'other, word got out that I enjoy a private jug on the slide. You know, this morning I heard that folks was gathering on the slide, planning on giving me a little tar and feather party, so I let out. Say, maybe we can throw in together. Do a little double thing, you know. What's your line mainly?
I do a little in patent medicines, theater actor, tragedy, you know. Take a turn to mesmerism and phrenology, teach singing and geography. I do most anything comes handy, as long as it ain't work. What's your lay?
Oh, me? Well, I done considerable doctoring in my day. Laying on of hands for cancer and paralysis and such. I tell a pretty good fortune if I got somebody in town that can find things out for me. And preaching's my line too. Yes, sir. Working camp meetings and missionarying around and such.
Oh, lass.
Lass?
What?
What you a-lassing about?
You wouldn't believe me. The world never believes. 'Tis no matter. Gentlemen, the secret of my birth, I will reveal it to you, for I feel I may have confidence in you. By rights, I am a duke.
No.
What?
Yes.
You can't mean it.
Oh, yes. My great-grandfather, eldest son of the Duke of Bridgewater, fled to this country at the end of the last century to breathe the pure air of freedom, married here, and died, leaving a son. His own father died around the same time. The second son of the late Duke seized the titles and estates. The infant real Duke was ignored. Oh. I am the lineal descendant of that infant. I am the rightful Duke of Bridgewater. Yet here I am, forlorn, hunted of men, despised by the cold world, and degraded to the companionship of felons on a raft.
Oh, I'm powerful sorry for your situation there, Mr. Duke. Is there anything we can do that might help with your, what's the word, Huck?
Decomposition.
Nah, degradation.
That was close.
Well, simply acknowledging my title would do more good than most anything else.
Oh. What that mean, acknowledging your title?
Oh, nothing much. Just bow when you speak to me and refer to me as my lord or your grace or your lordship. And since you are my special friends, it's all right if you just want to call me Bridgewater, which is more of a title than a name. And if one of you could wait on me at dinner, that would be smashing.
Oh, now look here, Bridgewater. I'm powerful sorry for you, but you ain't the only one that's had troubles like No, sir, you are not the only one that's been snaked down wrongfully from on high. You are not the only one who's got a secret to his birth.
You don't mean.
Bilgewater, can I trust you?
Till the bitter death, the secret of your being. Speak.
Bilgewater, I am the late Dolphin.
What?
Yes, my friends, your eyes is gazing at this very moment upon the poor, disappeared Dolphin. Louis the 17th, son of Louis the 16th and Mary Antoinette. I am the rightful king of France. Yes, my friends. I pray. Trouble. Trouble has done it. Trouble has brought these gray hairs and this premature balditude. Oh. Yes, you see standing before you, my friends, the wandering, exiled, trampled on, and suffering, rightful King of France.
Well, now that that's all sorted out, what's your story, young master? You and this fine gentleman, Jim, is it?
Mm-hmm.
You run your raft by night instead of in the daytime. He would not perhaps be a runaway with a bounty on his head?
Oh, land sakes, no! No. Now, would a runaway be running south? See, what had happened was my pa and my brother Ike and I, we figured we would go live with our Uncle Ben. But once pa settled up his debts, weren't anything left but $16 in Jim here, so we thought we'd just take a raft. But, well, one night a steamboat run over the forward corner here. We all went overboard. Well, Jim and I came up fine, but Pa was a mean drunk, and Ike was only 4 years old. They don't come up no more. After that, folks kept trying to come aboard and take Jim away from me, saying he was a runaway. That's why we don't run our raft in the daytime.
Good one, Huck. Good one.
Such an injustice. I shall ponder on how to remedy this situation, for I feel we could run much faster if we ran in daylight.
Now look at here, Bilgewater. I think you can ponder all you want, but in the meantime, we need to plan out a campaign. What will it be, huh?
I have at times appeared as the world-renowned Shakespearean tragedian Garrick the Younger of Drury Lane, London. By the by, Your Majesty, have you ever trod the boards?
No, I can't say as I have. Yeah.
Well, you shall. Before you're 3 days older, the first good town we come to, we'll hire a hall and do the balcony scene from Romeo and Juliet. How does that strike you?
I'm in up to the hip for anything that'll pay, Bilgewater. But I don't know nothing about no play acting. I ain't hardly never seen any of it. I mean, when Pap used to have them down at the palace, I was too small. You reckon you can learn me?
Easy. Now, I am accustomed to being Romeo, so you'll be Juliet.
Juliet, yeah. Now, she's supposed to be this young gal, right? My whiskers is going to look uncommon odd on you.
Oh, don't you worry about it. These country hicks won't ever think of that. Hey, just consider it. You'll be in costume.
Oh.
There it is. Okay. Perfect. Now, you read where it says Juliet.
Juliet.
Romeo, 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 wherefore art thou, Romeo?
Shall I hear more, or shall I speak at this?
Pshaw, it is only thy name that is mine enemy. A rose by any other name would smell as sweet.
I take thee at thy word, call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth, I'll never be Romeo.
Oh. Bravo, bravo.
That was some mighty fine speech, Fine. I don't know if I ever heard better speech, Fine.
Yeah.
You got any more?
Yeah.
Just for you, young master, one night only, and free of charge, I present to you Hamlet's Hamlet's famous speech. To be or not to be, that is the bare bodkin that makes calamity of so long life. For who would Fartles bear till Burnham would do come to Dunsinane, but that the fear of something after death murders the innocent sleep. Great nature's second course. It makes us rather sling the arrows of outrageous fortune than fly to others that we know not of. There's the respect must give us. Wake, Duncan, with thy knocking! I would thou couldst, but that the undiscovered country breathes forth contagion on the world, and like the poor cat in the adage is sickled over with care, 'tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. But soft you, the Pharaoh Phoebe. Get thee to a nunnery!
Our band of traveling thespians continued floating south toward Arkansas when they came within sight of a small town in the midst of what appeared to be a county fair. All manner of country folk riding around in all sorts of wagons, buggies, on horseback. They tied off the raft in the mouth of a creek about 3/4 of a mile downstream. The Duke wandered into town, rented the courthouse for a performance hall. He posted handbills all over town that read, Shakespeare Revival, 300 consecutive performances in Paris, 2 nights only. See the world-renowned Royal Nonsuch. Admission 25 cents. Women and children 10 cents.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to present before your eyes one of the world's most renowned Shakespearean tragedians, Sir Edmund Kean the Elder of Drury Lane Theatre, London. Yes, the Haymarket Theatre, Whitechapel, Goody Lane, Piccadilly, and the Royal Continental Theatres in this sublime Shakespearean spectacle entitled The Royal Nonsuch.
What soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east. Juliet is the sun. Her eyes are 2 of the fairest stars in the heavens.
Well, how can her eyes be stars? They're still in her head, ain't they?
Hark! She speaks. Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Shall I hear more, or shall I speak at this? O Romeo, it is but thy name that is mine enemy. Doff thy name and take all myself. I take thee at thy word. Call me but love, and I won't be Romeo no more. Oh, what man art thou?
What, are your ears drunk? It's that scoundrel, Romeo.
My ears ain't drunk. I know thy voice. Thou art that scoundrel Romeo. If any of my kinfolk find thee here, they shall murder thee. Oh, it's far better to die from their hate than to die from lack of thy love. Well, I swear, I have no pleasure in this contract tonight. Wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied? Good night. Good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow.
Thank you, dear friends. This great tragedy will be performed only one night more on account of our pressing London engagements where the seats are already sold out at Drury Lane. Hey! If we have succeeded in pleasing you, we'd be deeply obliged if you would mention it to your friends and encourage them to come and see the show. Yes, that's the entire performance. Thank you for coming.
Now hold on! Hold on, wait a second! Calm down, everybody, calm down! Take your seats, calm down. Now listen. Yes, sir. We were just sold a bill of goods. But here's what we do. We go out of here all quiet like. We sell the show up to the rest of the town. But tomorrow, when we come prepared. With some extra special cabbages and tomatoes and rotten eggs as a sort of special thank you to those gentlemen. Now, don't that sound sensible? All right now. You go out of here and you advise everyone you know to come see that tragedy tomorrow.
Walk fast now till you get away from the houses and then run for the raft like old Scratch himself was after you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so appreciative you have joined us for the final performance of the Royal Nonsuch. Sure, I think King the Elder will take the stage momentarily and amaze you with his tragic performance. Greenhorns! Flatheads! I knew the first house would keep mum, let the rest of the town get roped in, and I knew they'd be laying for us with rotten eggs, likely tar and feathers.
Oh.
Well, who's laughing now?
I do feel bad for the dolphin, though. I'm sure he's in for a gaudy time with that audience.
So, Bill's water.
How did I miss him?
How'd the whole thing turn out tonight?
2 nights haul was $147. Not a bad night's work, eh?
Not bad at all. Next time you get to be the Royal Nonsuch, I'm going back to sleep.
Well, I don't know what you're complaining about. I did all the work.
Yeah.
But now that you mention it, I'm growing a bit weary myself. Shove over, Your Majesty. I'm grabbing some shut-eye, too. Oh.
There you go.
Good night, Your Majesties. I think these kings are ours are regular rapscallions. Don't it surprise you the way that they carries on?
I don't. I suppose all kings are rapscallions. It's in the breed.
Is that so?
Well, you take your old King Henry VIII. Why, ours are Sunday school superintendents compared to him. Oh, Henry, he would marry a new girl every morning and then chop off her head at night, just as indifferent as if he were ordering up eggs. He'd say, call up Anne Boleyn. And she'd come up, and next morning, chop off her head, and they'd do it, just like that. Then he'd say, call up Jane Seymour. She'd come up next morning, chop off her head, and they'd do it. And he made each of them tell him a story every night till he had 1,001 stories. And he put it into a book, and he called it the Doomsday Book. Now that was the kind of king old Henry was. Now, I'm not saying ours lambs, 'cause, well, they ain't. All I'm saying is that a king is a king, and got to make allowances. I reckon it's the way they was raised.
Sun rose in the east, as it is wont to do. And the Dolphin announced he would be leading an expedition inland to get the lay of the land. He suggested that Huckleberry accompany him as his servant and invited the Duke to join them. The Duke told him, go on ahead. He would join them later. It would probably be better if they weren't seen entering town together. He told them he had concocted a plan to keep Jim safe from bounty hunters. He would join them directly. After Huckleberry and Dolphin departed, the Duke placed a long calico gown upon Jim, put a horsehair wig upon his head, used his theatrical paint to turn Jim's face, his hands, his neck, and his ears a dead, dull blue. Poor Jim looked like a man been drowned 9 days past. He took up a shingle and wrote on it, sick Arab, harmless, when not out of his head.
Get up, offer the lady your seat there, Adolphus. Ma'am, where are you bound for?
I'm bound for New Orleans, sir. I'm going by way of the steamboat, the Susan Powell. It's coming down the river today from Cincinnati.
Well, steamboat don't depart for a few hours yet. Why not? Sit down, rest a spell.
I'm obliged. When I first seen you, I says to myself, what's Mr. Wilkes? He made it in time. But I reckon you ain't him. You ain't him, are you?
I'm feared not, miss. Name's Blodgett, Alexander Blodgett. The Reverend Alexander Blodgett, to be sure. I am one of the Lord's poor servants. This here's my manservant Adolphus. I hope this Mr. Wilkes didn't miss anything by being late.
Well, he won't miss any property, but he missed seeing his brother Peter die. Peter would give anything in this world to see his brother Harvey before he died. It's all he talked about these last 3 weeks. He hadn't seen him since they was boys together, and he ain't never seen his other brother William at all. William is deaf and dumb.
Oh, didn't anybody send him word?
Oh, yes, a month or 2 back when Peter first took ill. Peter was kind of old, and he said he felt like he weren't going to get better this time. He most desperately wanted to see Harvey, and William, too, for that matter. He left a letter behind for Harvey, telling where his money was hid and how he wanted the property divided up so his daughters would be all right. There's Mary Jane, who's 19. There's Susan, who's 18. And then there's Joanna. She's about 14. She has given herself to good works.
For those poor little lambs left all alone in this cold, cold world. So why you figure Harvey ain't come?
Well, he lives in England, Sheffield. Preaches there from what I hear, and I never been in this country before. And you never know with the mail. Perhaps he never got the letter.
It's Mr. Peter Wilkes. He's pretty well off. I mean, what I mean to say is, did he leave his daughters well provided for?
Pretty well off. He had houses and land, and it's reckoned he had 3,000 or 4,000 hid up somewheres. Funeral's tomorrow, about the middle of the day.
Well, you know, it's all terrible sad. But we all got to go sometime, huh? I mean, the important thing is that we're prepared. And it's all right. Well, it was nice to make your acquaintance, ma'am. Adolphus, would you help our young friend to the steamboat with her luggage and then meet us at our accustomed place?
Thank you.
Good day.
And to you.
So, Bilgewater, how are you playing deaf and dumb?
I play deaf and dumb quite well, Your Majesty. What are we waiting for?
Alas! Alas! Our poor brother. Gone, and we never got to see him. Oh, it is too hard. It is too hard. This has been a sore trial for me and for my brother. To lose our poor deceased brother, Peter, not to get to see him alive after so long a journey of 4,000 miles. But it is a trial that has been made sweeter and sanctified by these tender mercies and these holy tears. And so I would like to thank you from out of my heart and from out of my brother's heart, because out of my mouth I can't. My words are too cold, weak. And so I will simply say, Amen. Oh, blessings flow, praise Him, all creatures here below. Praise Him above, ye heavenly hosts. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Friends, I know I speak for my nieces when I say thank you. And we want to ask some of Peter's particular friends to dine with us this evening and to help us sit up with the dust and ashes of the deceased. For dust we are, and to dust we shall return.
Uncle Harvey, Papa told me to give you this letter once you arrive from England, so here you go.
This here is your Papa's last will and testament. It says, I hereby gives the dwelling house and $3,000 in gold to my daughters, Mary Jane, Susan, and Joanna. And I leaves the tanyard, which is a sound and thriving business, along with my other property worth about $7,000, along with $3,000 in gold to my brothers, Harvey and William.
Uncle Harvey, Papa told me where he hid the gold and that I was to give it to you once you arrived. So, here you go.
Your Papa has done generous by them what has been left behind in the vale of sorrows. He has done generous by these dear little lambs, which he loved and sheltered, and who has been left fatherless, motherless, all alone in this cold, cold world, orphans. Well, what kind of brothers would we be? What kind of uncles would we be that we should rob such little lambs at such a time as, yes, I said rob, at such a time as this? Mary Jane, Susan, Joanna, we want you to have the money. Take it. Take it all. It is a gift from Him who lies yonder cold, joyful.
You dear good souls.
How lovely. How generous.
I've never seen the like in all my days.
Friends, we have asked some of Peter's particular friends to sit up with us tonight and dine with us, but tomorrow we want everybody to come because Peter liked everybody. And so it is fitting that everybody should be invited to attend his funeral orgies. My brother, afflicted as he is, wants me to be sure to invite everybody to come to Peter's funeral orgies. But he needn't be concerned, because that is exactly what I was trying to do just now, was to invite everybody to Peter's funeral orgies. Now, I said orgies, not because it is the common word, because it ain't. Obsequies is the common word. I use it because it is the right word. See, we don't use obsequies in England no more. We say orgies now because it means more exact what you're after. You see, it comes from the Greek word orgo, which means outside. And the Hebrew word jesum, which means to plant. So you see, funeral orgies is a open, that is to say, public funeral.
That is the worst English accent I have ever heard. You're not Peter Wilkes' brother. You're a fraud. Any man who claims to be an Englishman and can't imitate the lingo no better than that is a liar and a fraud. Mary Jane, Susan, Joanna, I was your father's friend, and I am your friend, and I warn you as a friend to turn your backs on that scoundrel and have nothing to do with him. He is the thinnest kind of imposter. He comes here with his Greek and his Hebrew and with a lot of empty names which he picked up somewhere, and you take them for proofs. You ought to know better. Mary Jane Wilkes, you are the oldest. You know me as your friend. I beg of you, turn your backs on this pitiful rascal. Will you do that?
Here's my answer. Take this $6,000 and invest it for me and my sisters any way you want to. And don't give us no receipt for it neither.
I wash my hands of the matter. But I warn you all that a time's a coming when you're going to feel sick whenever you think about this day.
Oh, it's all right, doctor. If any of us starts to feel sick, we'll be sure to call for you. Would you happen to have a spare room where your poor, tired uncles can lay their heads for the night?
Of course, Uncle Harvey. Joanna, why don't you keep our uncle's valet company for a moment? We'll bring down a blanket for a pallet.
It must be quite exciting living in England. Did you ever see the king?
Who? William IV? Oh, sure, lots of times. He goes to our church.
Regular?
Oh, yes, regular. He sits in his pew right across the aisle from ours.
But I thought he lived in London and you live in Sheffield.
Oh, well, I mean, he goes to our church regular when he's in Sheffield to take the sea baths.
But Sheffield ain't on the sea.
Who said it was?
Why, you did. You said he'd come to take the sea baths. But how's he supposed to take the sea baths in Sheffield if Sheffield ain't on the sea?
Well, looky here. Did you ever drink Congress water?
Yes.
Well, did you have to go to Congress to get it?
Of course not.
Well, neither does William IV have to go to the sea to get sea baths. He gets it like people around here get Congress water in barrels.
I see. Do you go to church too?
Yes, regular.
Where do you sit?
Why, in our pew.
In whose pew?
Your Uncle Harvey's.
Now, what would my Uncle Harvey want with a pew? I thought he'd be in the pulpit.
Don't you think a church preached for a king ain't got more than one preacher? No, ma'am. We got 17.
17? Mercy sakes. It must take him a week to get through all that preaching.
Oh, well, they don't all go at once. Mostly just one to a Sunday.
Well, what does the rest of them do?
Pass the plate or one thing or another. But mostly they don't just do nothing.
Well then, what are they there for?
Why, they're there for style. Don't you know anything?
I don't want to know such foolishness as that. How's servants treated in England? Do they treat them better than we treat ours?
Oh, no, ma'am. A servant ain't nobody in England. Why, they're treated worse than dogs. They get fed scraps and they got to work all day. They don't ever get a holiday, not like Christmas or New Year, nor the 4th of July.
Now, why would anyone in England get a holiday for the 4th of July?
I just mean they don't see a holiday like you would here in the States. They don't get to go anywhere, not to the circus, nor a theater or anywhere.
Not even a church?
Not even a church.
But you just said you always went to church, regular.
Well, I mean, I was talking about a common servant. A valet like myself has to go to church, whether he likes it or not, on account of it being the law.
You know what I think? I think you've been telling me a pack of lies. I don't believe none of it.
What is it you don't believe, Miss Joanna?
It ain't right nor kind for you to talk so to him, and him a stranger and so far from his people. How would you like to be treated so?
That's always your way, Mary Jane, sailing in to help somebody before he gets hurt. I caught him telling some stretchers and I said he wouldn't swallow it. I reckon he can stand a little thing like that.
I don't care whether 'twas little or 'twas big. He is a stranger and a guest in this house, and it wasn't kind of you to say it.
But he said that...
It don't matter what he said. That ain't the thing. The thing is for you to treat him with kindness.
Should not to be saying things to make him remember he ain't in his own country and amongst his own folks.
But I only said...
It don't matter what you only said. What you need to say is I'm sorry.
Need to ask his pardon.
All right, then. I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. There. Y'all satisfied? I'm going to bed.
I apologize for our little sister. She can be a little high-strung.
You can make a pallet for yourself in the kitchen for tonight. We'll try to bring you something more comfortable and find you a more comfortable spot tomorrow.
Lord, it's me. Huckleberry Finn. I reckon you know that already. I'm feeling real low down and ornery right now. Miss Mary Jane, Miss Susan, well, even Miss Joanna, they've all laid themselves out for me to feel like I was at home and among friends. Yet here I am letting these two frauds rob them of what's rightfully theirs. Oh, but I swear, Lord, I'm in a fix. I don't know what to do nor how to help them. So, if you could send it clear to send an idea my way, well, I'd be much obliged. Amen.
Being quite fond of the gold entrusted to them by the grieving daughters of Peter Wilkes, the Duke and the Dolphin decided to hide the bag of money beneath their mattress before sharing the evening with their hosts. Now, Huck's conscience began to war against his common sense. He had long since recognized the Duke and the Dolphin for the fraud and the charlatans that they were, and had hoped that the Wilkes sisters would side with the good doctor. But since they didn't, he decided to take matters into his own hands. He determined to steal the money away from the Duke and the Dolphin and bury it out back. Later on, he could write to Mary Jane and let her know where the money could be found. But alas, schemes, mice and men, and Huckleberry Finn's gone after glee.
The Lord is good,
Amen.
a stronghold in the day of trouble. On behalf of the Wilkes family, I'd like to invite you all. On behalf of the Wilkes family, I'd like to invite you all to a small reception afterwards. For the love of all that holds.
I'll see to it, Reverend.
As I was saying,
Dog was messing with a rat. In case you folks want to know.
thank you. As I was saying, on behalf of the Wilkes family, I'd like to.
Good Reverend Hobson, forgive me, but I feel like I must speak a word. My heart is so full of sorrow, and yet so filled with gratitude for all the love and kindness that's been poured out on my family. I feel like I must speak a word. May I please speak a word, good sir?
Now, I swore I'd wash my hands of you, but I couldn't do it.
Well, now, this is a surprise, and not the kind to which I'm accustomed. I'll acknowledge, candid and frank, I'm not very well fixed to meet and answer it.
Please forgive me for interrupting you, sir, but who are you?
Well, I'm Harvey Wilkes, Peter Wilkes' brother. And this is his brother, William. It's just, he's deaf.
So he can't do the signs that you're accustomed to, but I assure you he is the heir.
Broke his arm.
Yes.
Well, that's mighty convenient. For a fraud, we has to make signs and ain't learned how yet. Luggage? There's no luggage. You lose your luggage. Well, that's very ingenious under the circumstances.
Now, you see, here's your opposition line. You got two sets of heirs to old Peter Wilkes. Now, you pays your money, and you makes your choice.
I believe that I can help us sort this out. When did you come to this here town?
Oh, we got here yesterday afternoon, a couple hours before sundown. I don't remember seeing you. You are?
Lavinia Bell, attorney at law. The deceased lawyer.
Oh, that's preposterous, ma'am. I don't believe I've ever heard of a woman lawyer before.
Well, I am one of the first, but I assure you that I won't be the last, so you might as well get used to it. Sit down. I've been up in Louisville for a spell, but I'm back now. How did you get here?
We came down on the Susan Powell from Cincinnati.
Is that so? Well, then how come you came to be up at the Pint yesterday morning?
We weren't up at the Pint yesterday morning.
It's a lie. This man is a fraud and a liar. I saw him up at the Pint yesterday morning when I was there. He was there with that man and a boy.
Would you know the boy again if you were to see him, Lavinia?
I reckon I would.
Is that him?
I reckon it is.
Neighbors, now I don't know whether the new couple is frauds or not, but there ain't no doubt that the first two are. And I think it's our duty to find out the truth. Why, they could have accomplices that we don't know nothing about who could get away with that bag of gold old Peter Wilkes left, and his daughters would be left destitute. Now, if these men ain't frauds, they won't object to sending for that money and letting us keep it so they prove that they're all right.
Now, you look at here. I ain't in the way of standing in front of any kind of fair, honest, out-and-out investigation of this miserable business. Now, we put the gold under our mattress last night. I wager it's there still. You could send somebody to check for yourself.
I'll fetch it.
Thank you.
There was no money under that bed.
What? What'd you do with the money, you old fool?
Uncle Harvey, you can talk.
See?
Shut up! Shut up! I didn't take the money. Why would I take the money? I had the money. You took the money. You took it, and you was going to give me the slip.
That's a lie. You've done it, and you got to say you done it.
Hey,
I done it!
You got something you want to tell us, boy?
Yes, sir. I reckon I got to tell the truth. Miss Mary Jane, Miss Susan, Miss Joanna, might want to brace up because it's going to be hard to take, but well, there ain't no way around it. These uncles of yours, well, they're not uncles at all. They're a couple of regular deadbeat frauds.
now them's some strong allegations, boy. Can you prove it?
I could swear on a stack of Bibles, ma'am. Or you could send word to the folks in Brooksville. Well, I tell them you've got the two men that played the royal nonsuch. I conjure you'll have witnesses aplenty.
Wait, you said you've done it. Done what?
I took the money.
After we treated you so kindly, how could you do such a thing?
I didn't take it for myself. I took it to keep it safe for you.
Then where is it?
Well, I wish I know. I come nigh to getting caught and had to shove it in the first place I saw and hide. And it weren't a very good place.
Where'd you put it?
Yes, where?
It's in the coffin. I swear, Miss Mary Jane came into the room that I was in, and I had to put it in there. I hid away while you were wailing away in the night. I felt awful sorry for you, Miss Mary Jane. I figured the money would have still been there, or the undertaker and his helper wouldn't have nailed it shut. I'm awful sorry.
Nah, I didn't see no money bag in there, but it weren't exactly something I'd be looking for.
Well, I see. By the living jingo, it's right on Peter's chest, like the lad said.
Well, I reckon if the boys told the truth about the money, he's likely told the truth as well about these two. Now, I say that we hold him until the circuit judge comes around and let him decide what to do with him.
Cause you, boy, here I was trusting you, treating you like you was my own son. Well, I can see it all now. You had it planned out. You was going to steal the money, put it in the coffin, have it buried, then come back later and dig it up for yourself.
I'll tell you something else. That friend of yours back on the raft, he's gone. We done sold him for the reward money 40 miles upriver.
What?
Grab those!
Oh, no, you won't let them get away, those rascals! You come back here!
Come back here right now.
It was brave of you to tell the truth under such trying circumstances.
Yes, I suppose it was.
I never believed your story in the first place. But it's good you told the truth when it counted.
Joanna, that is unkind.
And sometimes the truth hurts. But I reckon you've done us a kindness, so we'll do you one in return. If your friend was a runaway and those scoundrels wanted to get the reward money, there's only one place I could think of where he might be. Silas Phelps is a constable up at Pikeville. His place is on the Lafayette Road. If there's any place I could think of, it's there.
It's about a 3 days walk from here, so you might want to leave soon before word gets out that he's been turned in.
For your journey. Oh, Godspeed. Well, I'm afraid we don't even know what your name is.
My name? Why, it's Tom Sawyer.
The Phelps homestead was one of these one-horse cotton farms that all looked alike. Split rail fence around a 2-acre yard. Stile made from sawed-off logs. Grass, sickly, brown. Mostly bare, flat, like an old hat with a nap rubbed off. The day Huck arrived, everything was still and Sunday-like, hot, sunshiny. Faint droning of horseflies could be heard buzzing in the air. Gave everything a lonesome, mournful feeling, like everyone you know, dead, gone. Slightest breeze sounds like long dead spirits whispering, and you just know they're talking about you. Huck started toward the door. He wasn't sure what he was going to say, but like the prophets of old, he would trust to Providence to put the right words in his mouth.
Tilly! Matilda! It's you at last!
You don't look as much like your mother as I reckoned you would, but Lordy mercy, I don't care for that. I'm just so glad to see you. I could eat you up. I expect you're hungry. Oh, come in. Sit down. Let me get a good look at you. Laws of me. I've been longing to see you all these long years, and now you're here at last. We've been looking for you for the past couple days. What kept you? Where's your luggage? Never mind. There'll be time for tales later. Your Uncle Silas has been up to the town every day for the past week to fetch you. He's gone there now. Not more than an hour passed. I'm surprised you didn't meet him on the road.
No, ma'am.
Don't you ma'am me. It's Aunt Sally. But here we are running on this way, and you ain't told me a word about my dear sister, nor any of the folk. So I'll just sit back, rest my gums a bit, and you just tell me everything. Tell me all about how they are, and what they're doing, and every last thing you can think of.
Well, ma'am, I mean Aunt Sally.
It's Aunt. But here he comes. Stick your head down low. Lower. There, that'll do. Now, don't let on you're here. I'm going to play a little joke on him. Has he come?
No. And I can't understand what in the world can become of him, and I must say it makes me downright uneasy.
Why, Silas, look yonder, out the window. Ain't that somebody coming?
I don't see anybody. Who's this?
Well, who do you reckon? It's my own dear nephew, Tom Sawyer.
I'm heading in town to get my luggage, Aunt Sally. I'll be back directly.
It's Aunt. You want to take the rig?
Oh, no. I ain't got much, and my legs are good. I'm used to walking.
Oh, no, I haven't ever done you no harm. Now, you know that. What you want to come back and haunt me for?
Well, I ain't come back. I ain't ever left.
Well, looky here. You was murdered, weren't you? Ain't you a ghost?
I ain't no ghost. I won't murder neither. If you don't believe me, come touch me.
Ah! Ow! Well, I reckon I'm satisfied. But what you doing out here? Well, Aunt Polly,
Well, there's some stuff I need to tell you, and I want to know if you're going to be my friend. Stick with me through it.
Oh, of course, so friends. I'll stick by you.
All right. Well, first things first, your Aunt Sally thinks I'm you. And the second thing, now this is this is a big thing. Well, you see, old Miss Watson's gym is here, and I'm gonna break him out of slavery.
Huck, Jim's all
No,
right.
I know what you're gonna say. It's a low-down, dirty business for me to steal Jim from poor old Miss Watson, who ain't ever done me no harm. But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna steal him out of slavery, and I'm gonna help him get free. And I need to know if you're gonna keep mum about it.
Oh, I'll do more than keep Mum, Huck. I'll help you steal him. Oh, here's what we're gonna do. You take my bag, pretend it's yours.
Oh.
Okay. Now here's the plan.
Tilly! Matilda! I reckon I have to do everything.
Are you Sally Phelps?
I reckon I am.
Oh.
You audacious puppy. What do you think you're doing
I'm
kissing
sorry.
me?
I'm
You
sorry. I
ain't
thought you
got
said you
no
were
business.
Sally Phelps. Everybody back home told me to kiss you when I saw you. I won't do it no more, honest.
I should reckon you won't. Who's everybody?
Oh, Aunt Polly. Aunt Polly, she told me to kiss you when I saw you. You'd open up your arms and say, "Welcome to my home, Sid Sawyer."
Lordy mercy! I never did see such a surprise. We weren't expecting you, only Tom. Polly never wrote to me about anybody coming but him. Sid, you ought to had your ears boxed. I mean, I ain't been so put out since, well, I don't know when. I was most putrefied with astonishment when you give me that smack.
They got Jim locked up in the smokehouse. So we got to study a plan to steal him out. Now you study and make a plan, and I'll study and make a plan, and we'll see which is the best plan.
Oh, well, Uncle Silas, Mr. Phelps, leaves the key to the smokehouse on a hook by the door. I figured the easiest way would just be to wait till dark, filch the key, and set Jim free. Wouldn't that work?
Well, it certainly would work, but no, it's just too blame simple. I think we could come up with a plan that's at least a little more complicated than that. Besides, it just ain't the way it's done in the books. Now, if we're gonna steal Jim to freedom, don't you suppose we ought to do it in style?
Oh, well, the window on the smokehouse don't have but a board nailed across it. We can wait till dark to wrench out the nails, and Jim can climb out the window to freedom.
All right, now that's more like it. Now that's more mysterious and troublesome. But I bet we can come up with a plan that takes twice as long.
Smokehouse ain't got no floor. It's just dirt. Why don't we dig him out? Yes, I'll
Tom,
get a spoon.
Sid, you boys take this plate over to the runaway at the smokehouse. Now, don't be afeard of him. Your Uncle Silas says he's a decent sort, ain't give him no trouble at all. But be sure to lock the door behind you when you come back, just the same.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Huck! Tom Sawyer, well, I'll be. Is that you? You know, I've been praying to the Lord to send his angels to set me free just like he did Simon Peter in the good book. Lordy, I never expected them angels to look like Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer. Nah, sir.
Well, of course it's me, and we're gonna set you free, Jim. But we gotta study on it a bit, and you can't let on that you know us. You see, problem is, Jim, this whole thing, why, it's just too blame easy. And we gotta think on it for a little while, and it makes it right and difficult to come up with a difficult plan.
What you want to make it difficult for?
Don't talk about it, Jim. It's just Tom Sawyer's way. Now, don't you worry, he'll figure it out. We just gotta give him a little time to conjure it. Seems like a good spot.
You got any spiders in here, Jim?
No. There ain't no spiders around here. Not that I know of.
That's all right. We'll get you some.
But I don't like spiders. What do I want spiders for? I just as soon have rattlesnakes around.
Oh, now that's the spirit. What? I don't believe it's ever been done before. I don't see no reason why it ought not to be done, though. Yes, sir. You can be the first to get all the greater glory. We'll get you a rattlesnake, and you can tame it.
Tame a rattlesnake?
Oh, yeah, it's easy enough. See, any animal's grateful for a little kindness and petting. Wouldn't think of hurting the person that ever pets them. Yeah, any good book will tell you that. See, all I ask you is try it for 2, maybe 3 days. I bet you can get him to where he'll love you and he'll sleep with you and let you wrap him around your neck and maybe even put his whole head in your mouth.
I ain't sleep with no rattlesnake, Tom. Well, now I'm willing to try most anything that's reasonable, but that ain't reasonable.
Jim, prisoner's got to have some kind of a pet. Suppose we could fetch you some rats.
Now look at here, Tom. I'm all in favor of busting out here about the book. But I want no spiders, nor no snakes, nor no rats, neither.
Well, it ain't proper. You see, the problem is there ain't no watchman to be drugged. There ain't no dog to give a sleeping mixture to. They don't even have Jim chained up to the wall with a 10-foot chain. Shucks, this ain't proper at all. And Uncle Silas, he just trusts everybody. He just hangs the key on a hook where anybody could take it. Oh, shucks, Jim could have just pushed the board off the window himself and got away. Huck, this here's the stupidest arrangement I ever did see. You got to invent all the difficulties. But don't you worry, Jim. We're gonna steal you to freedom, and we're gonna do it proper, just like it's done in the books.
I'd be all right doing it the easy way.
Oh, I'm sure you'll be all right with it, but did you ever stop to think about mine and Huck's reputation? Oh, besides, what will people say? Well, they just sniff and say, huh, it's a mighty old matey way of fetching a prisoner loose. No, sir, we got to do it right. Or we got to saw through the wall and, oh, you'll have to eat up all the sawdust we found.
I gotta eat sawdust?
Yes, sir. Then you got to slip out your chains, or we'll hitch your rope ladder to the bed. We'll fling it out the window. You got to shinny down it, drop into the moat below, and break your leg.
I gotta break my leg?
Yes, sir. On account of the rope ladder being 19 feet too short. Then your trusty vassals, see, that's us, will swoop you up on a horse and send you on your way to Languedoc or Navarre or someplace. Why, Lordy God, Huck, yes, sir. Oh, I wish we had a moat. Hey, we got time on the night of the escape. We'll dig one.
Tom, what do we need a moat for? We're digging Jim out from underneath the smokehouse. Remember, we both agreed on it.
Nah, I suppose there ain't enough necessity for it.
For what?
Saw Jim's leg off.
You want it? Mercy, what you want to chaw off my leg for?
Well, it's all the custom in Europe. You see, most time they couldn't get the chains off. They just cut off the whole hand. Well, see, a leg would be better, but I guess there ain't enough necessity for it in this case. Jim will need both his legs to climb down that rope ladder. Oh, we'll make him one by tearing up our bed sheets.
We don't need a rope ladder, Tom. We're digging Jim out from underneath the smokehouse. Besides, if we want to get a ladder, why don't we just get a regular wood ladder?
Who ever heard of a state prisoner escaping by a regular old wooden ladder?
All
It's
right.
perfectly ridiculous.
Fix it your own way, Tom. But if you want my advice, you let me steal a sheet off of the clothesline. Yeah, that way Aunt Sally won't know it's us. Won't have a conniption fit.
Oh, that'll do. Oh, while you're at it, borrow a shirt too.
What do we need a shirt for?
Oh, so Jim can keep a journal on it. And we'll make a pen out of an old pewter spoon or a brass candlestick or something.
Tom, why don't we just pluck a feather from a goose? It'll be faster and easier.
They don't have no geese running around the dungeon. See, most prisoners, they make their pens out of the most troublesome metal they can find. Usually takes them weeks and months, but filing it down against the wall.
Tom, we ain't got weeks or months. Besides, what's Jim supposed to use for ink?
Well, some folks, they use candle wax, iron rust, and tears. But all the best authorities use their own blood. Jim can do that.
What? My own blood?
Yes, sir. It's gonna be as fine as escape as ever done by the Iron Mask or Count of Monte Cristo.
Lord have mercy.
I've hunted high and I've hunted low, and it does beat all of what has become of your other shirt.
It is most uncommon. I don't understand it. You know I took it off because
you ain't got but one on. Just listen to the man. I know you had it on, because it was on the clothesline yesterday. I seen it there my own self. But it ain't there now. You're just going to have to change into one of those red flannel ones till I can find the time to make you a new one. That'll be the third I've made you in 2 years. Just keeps a body jumping to keep you in shirts. And what you manage to do with them beats the dickens out of me. A body'd think you'd learn to take some sort of care of them at your time of life.
I'm sorry, Sally. You know, I don't know what's happening. It's
Miss Sally, I thought you ought to know. One of your pewter spoons is missing. There's supposed to be 10, but there's only 9 there now. I counted them myself.
Are you sure?
Yes, and that ain't all. There's 6 candles missing. Now, maybe the rats got the candles. They do that sometimes, but I don't think no rats carried off a pewter spoon.
Well, Sally, I know that's my fault, and I admit it. And you've been after me to stop up them rat holes, and I'll get it taken care of this very afternoon.
And Mrs., that ain't all. There's a sheet missing from the clothesline. It was hanging there yesterday, but it's gone. I ain't seen nothing like it in all my born days. I reckon the world is coming to an end. I ain't seen the bit of it. There's so many things missing. A shirt, a sheet, a spoon, 6 candles, and... Ach, Miss Sally, didn't you have 2 brass candlesticks on the mantel yesterday? There ain't but one there now.
Land sakes. Give a body a rest. Go along now, the whole kit and caboodle of you. And don't come nigh me again till I've got back my peace of mind.
Well, it's all set in motion now. All that's left is for the anonymous letters.
What's an anonymous letter?
Oh, it's warning to the people that something is up.
Well, look at here, Tom. What do we want anyone something's up for?
Well, then there won't be nobody or nothing to interfere with us. After all our planning and time and hard work, this escape will go out perfectly flat and won't amount to nothing.
Well, as for me, that's how I'd like it. But I won't make any complaints. Any way that suits you suits me.
All right.
So, what is it we do with these anonymous letters?
Well, in the books, the servant girl's got to deliver in the middle of the night.
Tom, we ain't got a servant girl.
Aunt Sally's got a servant girl.
So?
We'll just hook some of her clothes off the line. We'll dress you up like the servant girl, and then you can go and deliver them to all the houses. All you gotta do is slide them on the neighbor's doors.
No, Lordy, Tom, no. I don't like dressing up like a girl.
What?
I don't walk like no girl, and I don't talk like no girl. Why can't I just deliver the anonymous letters in my own duds?
Then you wouldn't look like the servant girl, then would you, Huck?
There won't be anyone to see what I look like anyway.
That ain't got nothing to do with it. The whole point of this thing is just to us do our part and not worry about whether or not anybody sees us doing our duty. Ain't you got no principle at all?
Oh. Fine, I'll do it. I'm the servant girl. But I ain't gonna like it.
Dr. Robinson, we are so glad that you'll be staying with us while you're in town this time around.
Now, I appreciate your hospitality. You know, I might be a circuit riding preacher for all the traveling I got to do, but that's my calling. I like to train up an apprentice to help me with the load, but I ain't found nobody with the aptitude yet.
Well, I, for one, could use your services, Doctor. I have a terrible case of the nerve. I tell you, Sally, it is the most peculiar thing. I found this letter under my front door when we awoke this morning. It says, "Beware, trouble is a-brewing. Keep a sharp lookout." And it's signed, "Unknown Friend." I tell you, Sally, it has put me off my feet. Oh, my husband found a crude drawing of a coffin nailed to our back door this morning. What on earth does that mean?
'Tis a judgment, that's what it is.
Someone or something slipped a note under our front door, too. It didn't say nothing on it, but it was a picture of a skull and crossbones, and it looked like it was written in blood.
I never seen the beat of it.
We got one of those anonymous letters, too. I've been trying to puzzle it out with all the strange goings-on over the past few days. Just listen. Don't betray me. I wish to be your friend. There is a desperate gang of cutthroats from over in the Indian Territory coming to your town tonight to do mischief. And they have been trying to scare you so as you will stay in the house and not bother them. I am one of the gang, but have got religion and wish to quit it and lead an honest life again. And will betray their hellish design. They will sneak down from the northards along the fence at midnight exact. I will be off a piece and blow a tin horn when I sees them. And then, whilst they're doing mischief, all the menfolk in town can surround them and kill them at your leisure. I do not wish any reward but to know that I have done the right thing. Signed, unknown friend.
Have mercy. Come quickly, Lord Jesus.
Why do I gotta climb out the window first? The door is open.
That ain't the way it's done, Jim. You got it. Use the rope ladder.
That's what it's there for. All right. Oh, I reckon I'll go next. What?
Door's open.
Oh, yeah.
Who's in there? Answer, I'll shoot.
Why they busted out the runaway?
Well, there they are. They were running for the woods. After 'em, boys. Let loose the dogs.
We ain't got no dogs.
Well, they don't know that.
There's one of them.
Run.
Come on.
Come on.
Tom, Huck, and Jim lit out for the old mill and watched as the townfolk swept by on the way out to Indian territory. After they had passed, our heroes headed the opposite direction, toward the river and freedom for Jim. Everything seemed to be going according to plan, except for one small matter.
Lordy. All right, Jim. All you gotta do is cross the river and you'll be a free man.
You know, I gotta admit, when I was in that smokehouse praying to the good Lord, I had my doubts he was listening to old Jim. But there you came, and it was a good job too, Huck. It was done beautiful, and it was planned beautiful too. There ain't nobody that can catch with a plan that's more mixed up and splendid than one that's been done up by Tom Sawyer. Nah, sir. Ain't that right, Tom? Tom, what's wrong?
Oh, everything's splendid, Jim. Oh, it's mighty splendid.
Oh, Lordy, Tom, look at your leg. It's bleeding
Oh, this ain't
bad.
no time to stop
Tom,
now. Huck. We
you've been
can't
shot.
fool around.
We need
The
to get you
baby's
to a
moving along
doctor.
so handsomely. We did elegant, boys. Indeed, we did. Did it just as slick as nothing at all.
Jim, I'm afraid Tom is dying. What are we gonna do?
Well, Huck, the way it looked to me is, if it was Tom that was to be set free and one of the boys was shot, would he say, go on and save me, never mind the doctor for the shot one? Nah, sir. Tom Sawyer wouldn't say that. So would Jim say that? Nah, sir. You go and fetch the doctor. I'll stay with Tom.
Jim, your freedom is right there, right across the river.
Huck, I once heard you say if saving me out of slavery means that you would go to hell, you would just go to hell. I reckon if saving a man's life means I gotta be a slave, well, then I'll just be a slave. Now go and fetch a doctor. I'll stay with Tom. I won't budge from this spot until you come back with that doctor. Not even if it takes 40 years. Now go, fetch a doctor. Go on.
Oh, he's dead. He's dead. I know he's dead.
Oh, quit your caterwauling, woman. He ain't dead and ain't like to die neither.
Oh, man, the sweet God Almighty, Christo.
Why, he's alive. Thank you, Lord. And that's enough. I will never ask for another thing.
Silas, We brung your runaway back. We're not sure what we're supposed to do with him, though, because it seems like keeping him in a smokehouse is not such a good idea.
Now, I can tell you what you can do with him. You can set him loose.
Well, we kind of went to an awful lot of trouble to catch him just to let him go.
We thought there was a reward.
Now, looky here, fellers. When I got to where I found the boy, I knew I couldn't cut the bullet out without some help. And he weren't in no condition for me to leave and go and get help. I said right out loud, I got to get some help. And that feller there said, I'll help. And he done it too. And he done it very well. I knowed he'd be risking his freedom to do it. Yet, there he stayed. I knowed he'd been awake with that boy for long hours. I tell you, gentlemen, that kind of loyalty is worth $1,000 and kind treatment too. And I ain't never seen another man nor woman, white or black, that shares that feller's natural affinity for medicine. Now, I say it's a pity he ain't free. I'd train him to be a doctor.
Jim is free, Doc. I tell you, turn him loose.
Why, this boy's talking out of his head.
Oh, I mean every word I say. I've known Jim my whole life. So's Tom here. Why, Miss Watson, she passed away just a few months ago. She set him free in her will. Not only set him free, left him enough money to buy his wife and children out of slavery too. Why, she made all the arrangements herself.
Well, Jim, is it? You want to learn doctrine? You can start by attending to this lad till he's back on his feet. Then you can be my apprentice if you've a mind to. I'll pay you fair wage while you learn. And when I can't teach you no more, you can doctor on your own to your own people. You see, Jim, your people need doctors like you. And while my people don't know it yet, we need doctors like you too. What do you say?
Is it true? Am I free? And my wife and children? Are you in Deadwood, Ernest?
Just as earnest as I'm standing here on one leg, Jim.
Well then, Dr. Robinson, I say you got yourself a deal.
If Jim has been free for 2 months, why on earth didn't you just tell us? Why would you go through all the fuss of trying to set him free for seeing he's already free?
Why, for the adventure, of course. Why, me and Tom here, we waded neck deep in blood to set Jim. Oh, good gracious, Lord Almighty, it's Aunt Polly. Oh, okay.
Oh, you better run, Tom Sawyer. I lay when I get my hands on you, you won't be able to sit down for a week.
My stars, Polly, has he changed that much since you seen him last? That ain't Tom, that's Sid. Where is Tom? He was here just a minute ago.
I reckon I know Tom Sawyer when I see him. Sid is back in St. Petersburg, where he belongs. That rapscallion that was there with Tom is Huckleberry Finn. You come on back out here, Huck Finn. I swear, you both need a skinning. There ain't no mistake about that. But I reckon you had a fine adventure at the expense of your poor Aunt Sally.
It's Aunt.
What?
Never mind.
Well, I didn't come a-traipsing down the river, 1,100 miles, just turn around and go back now, and seeing how Tom ain't in no condition to travel for a bit, suppose I'll just stay with my sister for a spell. But then we are all going back to St. Petersburg. You too, Huckleberry. The widder Douglas is worried sick about you.
Oh, I can't go back there. Once my pap finds out I'm back, he'll come for the money, and he's going to spend it all on...
You ain't got to worry about your pap, Huck. He ain't coming back no more. Remember that house that was flowing down the river? Yeah. And remember when I said there was a dead man inside? That man was your pap, Huck.
Still, I can't take the raft that far upriver. I ain't got money for a steamboat ticket.
Huck Finn, how you talk. Of course you got money for a steamboat ticket. Don't you remember? You're rich. What? You just give me $1, and all 6,000 of your dollars belong to you again. Oh. Now, Huck, I've been reading these detective stories by a fella named Edgar Poe, and it's got me thinking about you and me going into the detective business together.
Lord have mercy.
When one sets out to write a story about grown folks, he knows exactly where that story will end, and that is with a wedding. But when one writes of juveniles, he must stop where he best can. This story could not go on much longer without becoming the history of a man. And since it is strictly the history of a boy, this is where Huckleberry Finn's story must stop. But the tale does not end there. Jim went on to become a fine doctor, was known as the Arkansas Angel of Mercy during the War of Northern Aggression, because he tended the wounded with equal compassion, regardless of the color of the uniform they wore. He was heard to say blue, gray, black, or white. Blood was all the same color. And Tom and Huck, well, they went on to greater adventures, greater glories, greater tussles. Stories. I could talk for hours about Tom and Huck's great adventures, about the time they sailed across the dark continent of Africa in a hot air balloon. But that's another story.
Didn't know I was lost.
I tell you, Sally, it has put me off my feet.